Okay guys, we have another furnace. This one's a Suburban. Again, this weird slip wrench is excellent for disconnecting these gas fittings because it is basically acts as a ratcheting wrench. So on this one, again, unlike the Dometic, this one you cannot service. You can pull it out from here, but you still have to, you got to pull this one out to service it. But it's nice that you can pull it out from the outside. So we'll get to these screws that we can and see what else we need to disconnect to get this one loose. Probably have to go on the inside and get some ductwork loose. This one's kind of nice. It's a Winnebago and they made a harness. Little Molex connector, so it's easy to disconnect the wires. And move that out of the way. We can get this out somewhat. We'll have to go on the inside and get the ductwork disconnected. So let's do that. Okay, so before you can remove this, there is a panel on the back of this. It is wider than the actual furnace. So when you try to pull it out, that hits. So 2 little screws, and then this can get pulled out. Before we do that, I need to separate our hardware and make room for this guy. So I'm moving everything, you know, over this way. And now let's separate the hardware so we can keep up with our stuff. This is a snap-on tray. It has a lot of compartments, which makes it very handy for disassembling things that have a lot of different fasteners. And we're gonna add more parts. So now that we have that out of the way, we can just pull our furnace out. See, the whole furnace comes out. Alright, let me get this set on the table. And you can see Air Excel, Suburban. We'll get this out and get it all cleaned up. Alright, so the furnace is completely out now. You can see on the back of this heat exchanger, this is the plate that covers it and provides for some more ducting. I have already removed the ducts. And there's that plate that I'm telling you have to take apart. These are the wires for the control board. Winnebago makes it into a harness, and there's the copper line right there. Alright, and a little bit of trash, we'll get that out of there. Next step is to take the furnace out of the shell. So we'll look and see where all the screws are. We have one right here. Sometimes I have 1 or 2 on the sides. Let's lift it up. You don't have any. So sometimes there's like 1 or 2 on the side right there. So yeah, looks like we just got the one in the front. And in this way, you could have, without removing the whole thing, slid these out of the case while leaving the case in there, which would have been easier. Okay, yeah, so this could have just came out just with that one screw in the front. Pull the whole thing out and leave the case in there. Because I have the case out of here, I can get my vacuum. I got my Milwaukee vacuum, and I'll get to clean all of this stuff, which you can't do without removing the case. So that's one benefit of removing the case. But yeah, I grab onto something solid like the pipes, and you can just pull this all the way out, which I'll be doing now. Alright, so I've separated the sleeve. I'm gonna clean that up and put it back in here. It's gonna be a lot easier to connect the hoses with the guts out. So on reassembly, I will put the sleeve in first and then insert the guts. But while it's out, it's time to do a full inspection and get this thing cleaned up really well, and also open it up, see how all the components are doing. I have to get to the burn assembly here. This takes a crow's foot and an extension to get that off, and now you'll find out why I have so many of different styles. We're gonna get this all blowed out, get all that dirt cleaned up, and go get some compressed air. Be using my, need to order some more of this. Portable compressed air. Clean a lot of this up. Get a little brush and get the rest out with a rag. Alright guys, so here's the setup. These would be your normal crow's feet wrenches, but I have several special ones specifically for this. You'll see these ones, like these flare crow's feet wrenches that are partially all the way closed. And then I don't want these to come apart, so I'll put them down, but I have several of these snap-on in different, these are all snap-on in different configuration. You see how I have that offset? So that allows me to have the wraparound like a flare, 12 points, so I can keep getting a grip without too much of a turn, and that offset like on your mountain wrenches. So this is gonna be a pretty awesome setup for this. And all I have to do is go around my pipe and get into position, turn my ratchet to off, and hold. Now it's in there pretty tight, so I also brought my knee pros. The snap-on is kind of short, so we'll switch out to the knee pro so I can get more leverage, and then I'll break that free. So as you can see, the leverage of the knee pros gave me the leverage I need to break it free, and this offset and wraparound works great. What's not working great is my supposedly locking extension that comes loose. The detent is not strong anymore. It is a Pittsburgh, so you do get what you pay for on this stuff. I think you go down to lock it in, yeah, and down so get that to lock in. Let's get it on here. All right, now that I have it loose, I can kind of take it by hand the rest of the way. If not, I can continue to use my flare. Such a long swing with that, and it's free. You can see that the gas valve has dropped down some. Next, we're going to take this apart, get the putty out of the way, get all your screws out. There's a gasket that you got to replace when you take this off. If you're taking a blower, there's another gasket that you got to replace, so make sure you got your gaskets. You want to pay close attention to where you remove the screws from and put everything back in its place. Mark them if you have to. You also want to check this orifice hole. As you can see, the gasket tore up, and so you need to have these gaskets. Take compressed air and blow through the line. Try to inspect the tube, and if you you blow compressed air through here and you get a good stream through there, you can be fairly confident that your pathway is clear. Now it's time to take out and inspect the burner head assembly and the igniter. All right, again, this can just be cleaned up and reused. It's not rusted through. So we'll do that, and we'll use the vacuum. I have my vacuum set up backwards so it serves as a blower. So when I set this up here and turn it on, it's actually gonna blow instead of suck. Okay, I'll clean this up. Take less than a minute. All right, so I use my flashlight in here to determine the position of the electrode, and then I use my 1/8 inch Allen wrench as a feeler gauge to set that. So now that those are both set both ways, I can go ahead. I've cleaned up my surfaces for my new gasket, and I'll go ahead and start reassembling. Everything is all cleaned up and in good working order. All right, got my torque seal on, and I'll use it again for here and for here, showing that, you know, I was the last person here, and, you know, I did what I was supposed to do. So now it's time to get my crow foot set up and to set these on here again. Get the valve. You have to support the valve from the bottom, or you're going to have a hard time getting this started. Next step is to check the cell switch, basically just replace them. And you have these 4 screws, and then you can open up this outer housing for the clamshell. This bottom one, it's kind of behind that plate, so may have to loosen those up as well. And I got my little magnetic tray here, so I'll stand this up and pop this off. All right, so let's go find a cell switch like this one. I just was able to slide from under that bracket and have to disconnect this red wire to get to it. We'll inspect the electrical connections and see when trash and stuff like that gets bound up, it prevents the cell switch from closing properly, and that causes problems. So let's see if I can find one. The brand name of this one seems to be looks like it says Cherry, yeah, and then it has some cherry icons on it. So all right, let's see if we have a long, thin cell switch like this. All right, so now it's time to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. When you have this out and you have access to the line, you need to go ahead and check the operating pressure so that you know that this thing is getting the 11 inches of water column that it needs. Now, I have already worked on this one before, so I know that it was set right, but I'm checking it anyway. So even with a 50% load, I'm getting nearly 11 inches of water column, and lock up, get more. So all the other things are hooked up too. I'm not directly at the regulator. So I don't like to set it from a different device. I like to set it right at the regulator, which I did the last time that I worked on this. So we're about 13 lockup and 11 at 50% load. Now, while I have this hooked up, I'm gonna run the furnace before I install it and make sure it still works. So here's the beauty of inline testing. So obviously the furnace is wide open, it's outside. It's 61 degrees. I have the thermostat set to 90. And you can see while I'm running it, the hovering right around 12 inches of water column. So I know this thing's getting the gas it needs. Everything is working. I'll take this loose, disconnect this, and get everything loosened, let it cool off, get the sleeve inside installed, that sleeve. But yeah, you need to do this stuff anyway, and it gives you a picture of what's going on while this thing's running, while it's installed. And I see right now that I'm getting great gas efficiency. Everything's working. Plus, you don't want to put this thing all back together and you don't know if it works or not, so you need to test it. Limit switch. Everything looks great. Okay, I'll go turn it off from the inside at the thermostat and start installing the sleeve. All right, we got a bubble test. Make sure we have no leaks. Okay, no leaks. To put another witness mark on here. I'm using pink today. And we'll start it up and make sure it still runs. Alright. So, screw it back up. Get out of here, we got it running. She's hot. So far so good, guys.